Okay guys, you're open on to page 382. Yes, you need your math book. If you don't have it, do not ask to go back to your locker. Get out a sheet of paper. Some of you might not have in your book because you could have torn it out on Friday. I know you're probably pretty bummed you're not doing the STAR test today, but we will be doing that when I get back. We're going to look at number 3 because I think in most classes we got done with 1 and 2. So let's see how you did on number 3. Okay, when we look at this, let me zoom in just a little bit. We have a negative and a whole number. So we're just going to take those and put them right on the line so we know that's part of our answer. Now, so that's gone. Now we're looking at the 5, 6. Remember on Friday, I showed you how to do this we're going to take 5 divided by 6. I know some of you have this done. 6 cannot go into 5, so we have to add a decimal and a 0. 6 times 8 is 48. 50 minus 48 is 2. Since this is a decimal, we cannot have a remainder with it, so we're going to annex the 0, drop it down. 6 goes into 23 times because that is 18. And look at that, I get a 2 again. Since I was here with a 2 and here with a 2, that means this 3 is repeating. And now I need to stick this on with our 2. So 0.83 with a bar notation above the 3 because only the 3 is repeating. Now, I'm going to have the sub stop the recording for about 5 minutes so you can get caught up on this side. If you're already done with this side, go ahead and go to the other side. So at this time, please stop it for 5 minutes. Make sure they are working. Okay, let's see how you guys did on it. We have 10 15ths. So I'm going to do 10 divided by 15. 15 does not go into 1 or 0, so we have to put a decimal and annex the 0. 15 times 6, we get 90. When we do 100 divided by 90, we got 10. If you need to, annex another 0 and drop it down. And you'll see that 15 goes in 100 6 times, so our 6 is going to repeating. So our answer is 0.6 with a bar notation over the 6 because the 6 is going to keep going on and on and on. Number 5, I think I did this in some of the classes, but number 5 we can do it a little differently than the other ones. Instead of dividing, you can change that 5 into a place value number. Remember, place value number is 10, 100, 1000, numbers like that. But when we first look at it, it has a negative sign, so I'm going to go ahead and transfer my negative sign on my answer blank. And I'm going to take my 4/5. I'm going to turn the 5 into the place value number of 10. So 5 times 2 is 10. 4 times 2 is 8. 8/10 written as a decimal is 0.8. If you don't like that way, you can always just do 4 divided by 5. Now, 5 does not go into 4, so we're going to put our decimals in a 0. 5 times 8 is 40. So I don't care which way you do it, whatever you are comfortable with. That says or, by the way, if you can't read that. Okay, number 6. It has a whole number, so I'm going to go ahead and put my whole number on my line. I'm going to cross it out, and then I have 5/9. I'm going to divide. 5 divided by 9. 9 does not go into 5, so I'm going to add my decimals and my 0. 9 times 5 is 45. 50 minus 45 is 5. So I started with a 5 there. I have a 5 here. That means our 5 is repeating. If you don't quite see that yet, you can always annex another 0 and drop it down. So 9 goes into 50 5 times, and you'll see that my 5 is going to keep going on and on and on. So we're going to take this right here and add it onto our whole number. So 1.5 repeating. I put my bar notation over the 5 because that is repeating. And then the last one on this page, Dana bought 2/3 yards of fabric to make a new purse. Write the amount of fabric she used as a decimal. Some of you may have 2/3 memorized. That's 0.6 repeating. So if you already have it memorized, you don't have to do the work on this one. If you don't, we're going to take 2/3 and it asks us to turn it into a decimal. So 2 divided by 3. 3 does not go into 2, so we have to add our decimal and our 0. 3 times 6 is 18. And look, we got the same number again. So that means we're going to put a bar notation above our 6. Remember, the bar notation tells us that the 6 is going to keep repeating over and over again. So our answer is 0.6 repeating. Okay, let us look on this other side. We're going to go down to number 9, since I just reviewed how to divide things there. And we're going to go down here. And it's asking us to change this decimal to a fraction. And remember, to do that, if it's negative, it's going to be negative here. The place value the 9 is in is the tenth spot, so that's just negative 9/10. That one we got lucky and we didn't have to simplify. Sometimes you will have to simplify though. Like on this next one, since this is negative, your answer is going to be negative. The 5 this time is in the hundredth spot, so 85 over 100. You're going to have to simplify by 5 on this one. So 100 divided by 5 is 20. 85 divided by 5 is 17. So we have negative 17 over 20. In our last one, we have negative 3.8. We have a negative and a whole number. That's going to go ahead and go on the line because you can never, don't get rid of your whole numbers. We have 0.8, and that is 8/10. The 8/10 is, they're both even, so we're going to divide by 2. We're going to get 4/5. We're going to go ahead and bring that number right up next to the 3, so negative 3 4/5. And then let's go ahead and look at 12, 13, and 14. These lines on either side, they're not ones, they're not L's. We should know this by now because on lesson 2, we did a whole lesson of it, and the word is a vocabulary word. These are absolute value signs. And remember, an absolute value is the distance between that number and 0. It always comes out positive. So the absolute value of negative 2.3, that means how far away is negative 2.3 from 0 on the number line? We get 2.3. The absolute value of 4/13 is 4/13. And the absolute value of negative 8 7/11 is 8 7 over 11. Okay, so make sure you're taking your time on this because most of it is pretty fairly easy if you take your time. There are things you might not want to do, like show your work on the side of paper with multiplication, but you're going to have to do that if you want the right answer. So at this time, the worksheets are going to be passed around. After all the worksheets are passed around and your name and your number are on them, the sub will start playing this again so we can kind of go over the worksheet together. Okay, now that you have it, your name is on the top. And you'll see that we only have 10 problems. I did delete about 9 problems off of here to hopefully have enough room for your work. If you do not like that because there might not be enough room or you want to grab graph paper, make sure you have your graph paper so you can keep it even. If you do it on graph paper, please transfer your answers over this and staple it when you're done. There's a stapler at the front of my desk. It should be right by the tape. Okay, so these top parts, all they want you to do is you're just going to rewrite it with the bar notation of it. So if you look at number 2, it goes 0.424242. The numbers that are repeating are 4 and 2. So you're going to put your bar notation above both of them. So there's 1 point right now for you. Hopefully you copied it down. Okay, our next one. Looking down 4 through 9, those are straightforward problems. I'm going to do number 8 with you. So we have 3/11. I'm going to divide it. 3 divided by 11. It is not negative, so we don't have to worry about that. 11 goes into 3 0 times. So I'm going to have my decimal and my 0. 11 times 2 is 22. 30 minus 22 is 8. Since I have a guy down here, I need to annex another 0. Drop it down. 11 goes into 80 7 times. 11 times 7 is 77. 80 minus 77 is 3. Annex a 0, drop it down. At this time, you'll realize, hopefully you see, that I started with a 30 and I have a 30 there. That means I'm going back to my 2 at the very beginning. So that means that your bar notation is going to go over both the 2 and the 7. It's going over both of them because it's starting back at the 2, not just the 7. If you can't see that, you can continue to go on a little further. But I want you to circle all your answer. And I will tell you right now, that is the only problem on the paper where you have to put a line over both numbers with your bar notation. The other, well, on this section, you should have at least one more up here that has a bar notation over both numbers. But here, that's the only number you have to put your bar over both of them. On number 7 and number 9, you'll have a bar notation, but only over one of the numbers. Let's read number 10, our word problem. Kylie rafted 5/8 mile down the river before she found a place to dock. Write this distance as a decimal. So our important thing right here is 5/8. There are 2 ways you can solve this problem. You can either do 5 divided by 8 and get your decimal, or you can change 8 into a place value number. And some of you may still have it memorized of what to multiply 8 by to get to a number, but I'll give you a hint that you're going to multiply it by 125 and you'll get 1,000 on the bottom. And then you'll change that into a decimal. You do not need to label this. When you are finished, they go back in the tray. Remember, Arthur on top, Pitts in the middle, my class on bottom. If you're one of Miss Morris's students and you would like to go down to her room, you can. This is a by yourself activity. So if you need help, you can ask someone next to you, but that doesn't mean you're giving each other the answers. If I hear differently, you will be in trouble. Take your time. If you do not get this done in class today, it is homework. Please be respectful and stay in your seat.